My name is Andre, and this story is my own. It happened a few years ago when I decided to leave the city for a while and move to my mom's house in the village. I was exhausted from the hustle and bustle of the city and wanted some peace. But I had no idea that I would encounter something that would change my life forever. It all started with the road. The bus I was on was old, probably from the Soviet era. Inside, there were worn-out seats, the smell of metal, and diesel fuel. The driver didn't seem too concerned about the speed, so the journey took longer. I stared out the window, watching as the thick forest on either side of the road gradually blocked out the light. There was something sinister about it. The branches of the trees looked like hands reaching toward the bus. When we arrived at the village, it was already dark. The bus stop looked abandoned, an old bench, a broken roof, and no streetlights. The driver didn't even say goodbye, just drove off, leaving me alone. There was a strange silence in the air. I picked up my heavy bag and headed toward my mom's house. The village looked completely different than I remembered. It used to always have lights in the windows, the sounds of TVs or conversations. Now, complete silence. Only the faint rustling of leaves. Near one of the houses, I saw an old dog lying on the porch. But when I got closer, I realized it wasn't moving. The dog was dead. When I finally reached my mom's house, something was off. The door was ajar, and there was no sound coming from inside. "Mom?" I called, but no one answered. As I stepped inside, I noticed everything looked as if she had just stepped out for a moment. A plate of unfinished borscht on the table, and a bundle of thread nearby. But she was nowhere to be found. I decided that maybe she had gone to the neighbors and went upstairs to my room. The stairs creaked under my feet, and the air was filled with a strange smell, like wet earth. When I entered my room, I immediately felt something was wrong. The window was open, and on the floor, there was a small package wrapped in old fabric. I picked it up and unwrapped it. Inside was a photograph of my family, but I wasn't in the picture. Only my mom and dad. I wondered where that photograph came from when I heard footsteps on the first floor. I quickly went downstairs, but saw no one. The door was still closed, but there was a note on the table that hadn't been there before. It read, "You should not have come back." My heart froze. Who wrote this? Why? I looked around, trying to find any clue, but there was nothing. Suddenly, the light bulb in the kitchen started flickering and then went out completely. In the darkness, I heard a soft whisper coming from the basement. I decided to go down. Grabbing a kitchen knife, I slowly opened the door to the basement. The stairs were steep, and cold air rushed up from below. When I reached the bottom, I saw that the basement looked different from what I remembered. There were some old pieces of furniture, boxes, and in the corner, there was a passage in the wall that had never been there before. My fear mixed with curiosity. I approached it and peered inside. The passage led to a long tunnel that stretched farther than seemed physically possible. The ceiling was low, and the walls were damp, covered in strange symbols. I heard the same whispers, only now they were louder. It seemed like they were calling me. I took a few steps forward when something cold brushed against my hand. I turned around, but no one was there. the whispers turned into a loud noise that filled my head. I ran back toward the house, but the tunnel seemed endless. When I finally emerged, the house was already lit, and my mom was standing by the door, looking at me with a confused expression. "Audrey, what's wrong with you?" she asked. I couldn't find the words. But I knew one thing. What I had seen in the basement was not part of this world. And whatever it was now with me.